Well, good evening. My name is Phil Schomber. I'm the adult programmer here at Hedberg, and I want to thank all of you for coming. I also want to thank JATV for filming tonight's program. That way, everybody who didn't get a chance to make it tonight but who was interested, they'll still get a chance to watch the program later. So, and they'll be able to benefit from all the information that you guys are going to get tonight. So, and I'd also like to thank our speakers, Mary Buelow and John Wasserstrass. As you may know, John is a retired scientific computer programmer and math teacher, and has served as the president of the German interest group for several years. And his ancestry is 100% German, so it makes him a perfect speaker for tonight's program. Mary Buelow is one of our reference librarians and a genealogy specialist, so she'll also be able to provide some excellent information. And in fact, Mary's going to share about the databases that we have here at Hedberg to help you research your ancestry. And then John is going to talk about some other resources that will be useful in searching your German ancestry as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Mary to get us started. Please welcome Mary Buelow.
Check, can you all hear me all right? Okay. The second thing I want to do is apologize to any German speakers in here. I never learned German, so I will probably mangle every pronunciation that I come across. Even though I do have ancestors who spoke German and actually fairly recently in history. So I will be talking first about some of the library resources that you can get online, some that you have to come into the library for, but also some that you can get from home. From the comfort of your home, in your PJs, with your coffee cup, you can do some searching for your genealogy. So the main thing I'll be talking about is some of the research databases we have available to us. These are databases that are not free if you go out on the internet for them. Someone does have to pay for them. In this case, the library has paid for AncestryLibrary, and actually a state project called Badgerlink has paid for the other two. So for AncestryLibrary, anyone who comes into the Hedberg Library is welcome to use it here. It's basically the same database as Ancestry.com. It's the library version that multiple people can be logged on using computers here in the library at one time. And then I'll talk about the other two. So starting with Ancestry, when I log on, there's actually two different pathways that I think of when I'm going to be using Ancestry for genealogy. The first pathway is when I am working with someone or I myself am doing a search and I know very, very little about my family. So for example, I know a fair bit about the Irish side of my family because I had a grandmother who kept track of all that, but I know almost nothing about the Buelows. And so that is the first approach that I'll take because I don't know anything. Then we'll look at a second approach for using Ancestry, which is good for when you know quite a bit about your family, but you're trying to puzzle out some specific problem areas and problem ancestors that you can't quite get past. So, but starting at the beginning, I start with begin searching. And like any beginning genealogist, I start with the last ancestor I know, which is my grandfather, Grandpa Louis Buelow. So I type in his first name, Louis, his last name, Buelow, and I type in a place where he lived. I typed in Chilton, Wisconsin, and as I do that, it comes up with a couple of options, Chilton, Berkshire, England, and Chilton, Calumet, Wisconsin, USA. I get my best results when instead of just pressing search here, I arrow down and select that one for Chilton, Calumet County, Wisconsin, USA. and I actually come up with 3 matches exactly for my grandfather, Louis E. Buelow, who lived in Chilton during the 1940s to the 1960s. So I come up with the 1940 U.S. Census, U.S. Federal Census. I come up with an entry from Find a Grave, and I come up with the Social Security Death Index. So what Ancestry does is they go out and collect resources from anywhere they can get it, from the National Archives, from state archives, from digitized projects, from websites that are willing to partner with them. Find a Grave is one of those. I could have gone separately to Find a Grave, just out on the internet, but remember, I'm this beginning genealogist, and I just need a starting point. I don't know where I'm going. So if I click on Find a Grave for Louis E. Buelow, it comes up with the information that on his tombstone, it gives the birth date of 1902, death date of 1969. A lot of times you'll find the exact month and day. Unfortunately, St. Augustine's Cemetery in Chilton, nobody does that. They just do years. So it says where his burial place is, has bio. If I actually click out to the Find a Grave website, I will actually see my grandfather's obituary. And then the other cool things is it's giving the relatives. It's giving his father's name. It's giving his mother's name. And that was actually information I did not have. So all of these in blue are hot linked. So I can click on great-grandma's name, Johanna, and it comes up and links to her Find a Grave entry, and it tells me that she was born in Mecklenburg, Vorpommern? Someone's nodding. Oh, I actually got close. Okay, and then from there it would give her children, including my grandfather, the great uncles I never met, and if I go out to Find a Grave, it actually gave her obituary, which said when she came from Germany, she was 4 years old. So I still don't know the date she came from Germany. I don't know where in Mecklenburg she was, but I know a heck of a lot more than I did before. And so as a beginning genealogist, trying to find the Buelow branch, I would probably just go and keep clicking on all the links here and see how much I can find from just one spot in the computer. And usually I can get pretty far. Unless someone in your family tree wanted to be hidden, usually the 20th century, the second half of the 19th century, or whenever you cross in back over the ocean, whichever ocean you are coming from, it's pretty smooth working through Ancestry. But if I don't know exactly where in Mecklenburg she came from, if I do have a problem ancestor, so if I didn't get her, like this right here, it doesn't give her maiden name. When I go out to Find a Grave, it does, but some other entries might not. So you might have a woman's name, you know her married name, you don't know her maiden name, and until you can find that out, you can't jump back until to that next generation. So when you get stuck, then there's another way to search. So I mentioned that Ancestry gathers resources from all over and puts it in their database. Sometimes I want to look through the resources, because if I have a spelling wrong, or if I don't have quite enough information, but maybe I could find a book or some database that I have enough clues that I can search sideways, I might get lucky. So way up at the top, there's another search button that's a little more hidden because it's actually the more advanced search. where I go in and I can search by categories. So I can search by birth, marriage, or death. For example, if I thought maybe I could find out great-grandma's maiden name from her marriage certificate, I might chase down through the categories of marriages and see if I could find her marriage record. There's military records, there's immigration and travel records, census, all kinds of choices. And if I wanted to look at them all, I go to the card catalog. So just like any library catalog, it's everything they have in Ancestry. And if I go to the card catalog, there's actually 10,425 databases. Yes. So of that, there might be something that helps me out, but I don't necessarily want to browse through all 10,425. I can search by keyword. And so if I type in Germany, so I want to get all the things I can that perhaps they have, that records that pertain to Germany. If I type that in, it narrows it down to 2,205. So I could type in more keywords. At this point, I don't want to be using family names because it's not drilling into the records. It's only looking at the top, the title of the database. And I can filter by collection. So I could again, there's a military category, immigration and travel, but I'm a map person. I like maps. And since I don't know where great-grandma came from in Mecklenburg, I just want to see some maps in Mecklenburg. So I'm going to click on the maps, atlases, and gazetteers. And when I go in, there's 11 different maps, atlases, and gazetteer categories. And there's one that says Germany topographical maps 1860 to 65. 1860 to 1965, sorry about that. And the first thing I notice when it comes up, these records are in German. So I really want to be doing my homework before I really dip into the German records because I want to know all the spellings I can. I want to be as precise as I can because they are coming from the true German source, and if I spell it wrong, I'm going to miss what I'm looking for.
Excuse me.
Yes.
You can get the World Edition or the World on the Library Edition. See, I have just plain Ancestry, and if I want to look at something from Germany, I have to pay more to have that World Edition.
So the Library Edition has the full package. We don't have
good.
selected this package or that package and pick and choose. We have it all. The one thing that is not on the Library Edition is the personal family tree builder. You can look at other family trees that are already there, but you can't build your own because because it's not your own account. That's the only thing that's not on the Library Edition. Otherwise, it's got it all.
So the newspapers and
Yep.
okay.
Yep. And they are adding things all the time. So if you haven't looked at it for a couple of years, check again, see if there's something new. So I'm going to start typing in Mecklenburg, and it helps me out. It spells it out for me, so I click on that. And then there's 11 different maps from different years and different parts of Mecklenburg. And I just kind of clicked on one just to see what it looked like, and it is a genuine map. Right from the comfort of the computer. You don't have to drive around up to Madison or Milwaukee or whatever library might have the original. You can see if it has the information you need. The maps can be really handy for going sideways at a search. Is say you have this town name and with all your records list a particular town. But then you hit a dead end. You can't find any records for that town. Maybe those records are in a nearby town. And with a map, you can look around and just see what's in that area. So using the catalog search through Ancestry, you can find a lot of resources that might actually help you out. As I mentioned, though, it is available only at the library. They do not give permission for us to let you have it from home because they want you to subscribe to your own personal edition if you're going to do it from home. So, but there is another database that you can do from home. It's called Heritage Quest. It is significantly smaller. Actually, they were an independent database, and they got bought out by Ancestry and then kind of abandoned. But now they're working on it, on building it up a little bit. And some of the things that you can get from home, you can get the U.S. Census if you're doing census searches. This is another place to look. City directories, mortality schedules. Those are people who died between the censuses in the later part of the 19th century. If you're doing specialized records, the people working on the Freedmen's Bureau or the Indian Census Rolls or Revolutionary War, they have specialized collections for all of those. The other thing that they have that's really good to know for Heritage Quest is this search books category. So they have access to either the records of specific books or full digitized copies of books for 28,000 family and local histories. So if you knew the family, you knew there was a family history for it, and you wanted to read it, you can check from home, see if that particular resource is on Heritage Quest, and if it is, you can read it from the comfort of home with your coffee cup in your living room if you want. So that is Heritage Quest. Another database that we have is a newspaper database called newspapers.com. And newspapers are really handy because that's where a lot of obituaries are listed. For certain time periods, they can be very gossipy. I've managed to track back people because they wanted to be noticed. So they would put their name in the paper every time they had a visitor or went visiting someplace else. That was really popular in the teens and the 20s. And so I was able to track back a particular family where they moved around in Rock County by using the newspaper, just those little tidbits in the newspaper. The newspaper databases are not complete. So newspapers.com does have the Gazette in it. It is not every day. It is not every page. So, so we also still do keep the microfilm, which is every day and every page of the Gazette. The microfilm you do have to use here. But this is something you can do a preliminary search from home. So I'm looking for a family, Buchholz. If I spelled that wrong, said that wrong, let me know. And then it says Show Advanced. If I click on the Advanced, here it lets me choose, I can type in my town, Janesville, Wisconsin. And if I wanted to, I could type in a date or a date range. I just left it as Janesville, Wisconsin with the name of Buchholz. There were quite a few in Janesville, and there were actually, that name came up 4,342 times in whatever pages we have of the Janesville Gazette. As I'm looking though, some of them are probably ads, so it looks like there was a real estate agency with that name. So they probably had lots of listings and came up over and over and over again. There were several other businesses as well. The second one down, I'm looking, there's a bit of a picture and there's a person's name. It kind of looks like an obituary. So I'm going to click on that and bring that up, and it is indeed an obituary for a Mr. August Buchholz. And it reads that he was 80 years old, Janesville resident since 1927, died at 11 p.m. Friday in his home. And then it goes on from there with the standard obituary information, where he lived, his address, he was married, to whom, and all kinds of other wonderful genealogical information. And it tells me up here, this appeared in the Janesville Daily Gazette, April 24th, 1954. So I can take a look at it. I can, if I wanted to, I could browse that whole paper, either If the whole thing was online, I could do it through newspapers.com, or I could come into the library and use the microfilm. I can actually copy and print off of here as well. So way up in near the upper left hand corner, it says Find, Clip, Print, Save. Clip is a handy feature, except you do have to create an account, and then it's clipping and saving on their server. I just want to clip it out and print it right now. So I'm going to click the Print Save, and then it lets me choose whether I'm going to print or save the entire page or a selected portion of the page. And if I do selected portion, it gives me a box that I can maneuver around to surround my article, and I can print from there. So the other thing I do want to point out, I did mention that not all papers are in here. If you wanted to see if a particular paper is included, that's up at the top where it says papers, and I can go ahead and either browse or search through the papers that are covered.
Do you have as many papers as you would if you had a subscription?
This is a subscription service. The newspapers.com is a subscription service. So it is, this one and the Heritage Quest are actually subscribed to through a state project called Badgerlink. So it's funded by your tax dollars through the Department of Public Instruction, and it is available to all Wisconsin residents, either from a computer in Wisconsin or with your library card wherever, Wisconsin library card, wherever you happen to be. And so you would either access it through the Badgerlink.net project or through Hedberg's database page, research database page. I'll do a quick show of that. It's also available, it's also described this brochure under the picture of the guy looking at his computer. It gives the directions of how to get to the research databases. So it's clicking on research tools in the middle of the menu. Then it pops up. I click on the green arrow by research databases, and I either click on people or scroll all the way down to the bottom where my genealogy databases are. And Ancestry gives a reminder that the access is limited to the computers in the library. Heritage Quest, you can do it from wherever with your library card number, and I can scroll up just a little bit to newspapers.com library edition. And also want to mention on that research tools page, we have links to genealogy resources and local history resources. If you are looking at Janesville or Rock County history, we do have a lot of specialized resources. I think we've got a lot to cover today, so all I'm just going to do is point out this brochure. This tells you more. Come in, call us, email us. We would be happy to walk you through those for your search. Then the last thing, before I turn it over to John, is that I do want to point out, I'm kind of stealing your thunder, not everything is on the internet. Not everything is available online. There are also a lot of things that you can use by searching through books. And on our homepage, hedbergpubliclibrary.org, up at the upper right-hand corner, it says search the share catalog, and that would let you search our catalog. You can do that from home or from in the library. And if I type in German genealogy, it comes up with all the titles in the library system, all 28 libraries. We are part of a 4-county system that have the words German and genealogy. So a lot of those are actually here at Hedberg, and the ones that are here are in this brochure. If you did not get a brochure because you ran out, let me know. I will make sure that you get one, either electronic or print, your choice. So these are materials that we will be looking at when we tour the Wisconsin room, but also John will be talking about a few of them. Before I turn it over to John, I want to, who all here is a member of the German Interest Group? Terrific. from the bottom of my heart from everyone who has ever used any genealogy material here at Hedberg. Thank you so much. It is through donations from the German interest group that we have the wonderful genealogy collection we have today. And with that, here's our,
Ma'am,
yes?
what is the German interest?
I will turn that over to John, who will talk a little bit about it, and then he will talk about the resources that he has.
Okay, yeah, it'll affect my lights not going on here.
Okay.
Mary, did you ever
There you
find your great-grandmother's maiden name?
Once I did more digging, yes, it's younger.
Younger.
Yes.
Hello, welcome to all of you. Good to see you all here. Yeah, the German Interest Group is a source of this, but I can't take credit personally. Most of this donation came from before I was involved. But you know, we do have a fantastic collection here, and I want to give you a kind of introduction to tell you about some of this stuff. German Interest Group has been around for about 26 years. We normally meet on Monday nights at St. Mark Lutheran on Mount Zion Avenue. And we do some genealogy stuff, a lot of German culture, history, and hopefully every now and then we get somebody who takes a tour of Germany and gets to show us some little travelogue too. So a variety of stuff. So most Monday nights, 7 o'clock at St. Mark. What did I say? The first Monday of most months, yeah. Not January, July, or September, but other 9 months. Okay, so yeah, you can talk to us about that afterwards here. I want to concentrate on the resources that can help you in your genealogy here at Hedberg. So 3 big questions I'm going to address today. How did your ancestors get here? And where did they come from? Which was what Mary was interested here. Where in Mecklenburg? And where can you find the records? All right, we can find a lot of stuff online, but most genealogy information is not online. All right, and I have to confess, so far I found most of my stuff online, but there is stuff here that I've used in Janesville. So where do you find those records? Well, okay, so I covered that one here. We've got a great collection, and I'm not going to have time to do a how-to on all these stuff, but I just want to show you 4 of them and say, hey, this is what they can do, and hope that you say, wow, that would be useful for me. I want to go to over there and try it and use it. So that's my goal here. And my handout has some getting started stuff that I won't have time to go over here. So here's the tools I wanted to talk about. First one is Germans to America. And that is basically one giant passenger list from those years, 1840 to 1897. It has approximately 4 million names. So there's a good chance that your ancestor came from Germany, they're in there. That's not all of them, but it's a lot of them. Next one is Myers-Ort. And Mary mentioned the word gazetteer. That is a gazetteer, and it's a list of place names in Germany. It was published in 1912. So basically every German town or village that existed in 1912 in Germany is in there. And notice I'm kind of emphasizing 1912. If your ancestors came over sooner, well, village names change, right? So again, just like the passenger list, there's no guarantee that your village name is going to be there. In fact, I've had 2 or 3 people recently in recent months, yeah, but my village name's not in there. Well, what can we do? Oh, shouldn't have gone ahead yet here. Where are we? Next one is Roger Meinert, German place name indexes. And that is another way to help you find a village what the correct spelling is of a German place name. And the 4th one is Hansen's Map Guide to German Parish Registers. So it's 57 volumes. And I was going to bring them and hold them up for you, but I guess we have to go to the room and see them later. They're magazine-sized things where you can find what parish your village belongs to. So once Mary finds Great-Grandma Buelow's hometown, she can go there, find out which parish it's in, and where do you think you're going to find the genealogy records? Most likely in the church, right? So you need to know what parish it's in so you know which church to go to. And then there's all these other things that are listed in here, and I think that covers it here. So, first question, how did our ancestors get here? Well, most likely on a boat, right? So use Germans to America. So they're in the Wisconsin section, pretty easy to find. There are, how many volumes? What did I say there? 67 and 7, huh? 74 volumes. They're all about the size of a church hymnal, so it's pretty easy to find when you go there. And they're in chronological order. So if you go to your census and you say, oh, great-grandpa came over in 1875, well, it might be 76 or 74, but you're pretty close, right? So you can know which volume to go to and find the right one. And that's what I had to do, because I did that before it became available online. So it lists all the passengers, the ships, the order they arrived in the United States, and then it lists the German passengers on those ships. And then, well, which passengers included. For some years, if the boat had a lot of Germans on it, they listed everybody on the boat. Well, what if your ancestor came over on a boat with not many Germans? Well, they got missed. But most of the years, it's people that identified themselves as German. So I think my great-grandfather came over. He didn't identify himself as a German, so he didn't get in there. And it's not just ships that came from Germany. My great-grandpa came from Antwerp, and a lot of people went to England first, or Amsterdam, for instance, and changed boats. So if they identified themselves as German, they got in there. So if you're lucky, your ancestor identified themselves as German or Prussian. Okay, so 74 volumes. Well, if you don't know when they got here, then you're kind of out of luck, right? You just got to ski. You can't scan through 74 volumes to find it. So luckily now it's online. So that should be your starting point. Go online, type in their name, and see if you can find out when they came over. So you can use Ancestry or Family Search. Like Mary showed you, go to their card catalog and get the Germans to America database, and then type your name in. Family Search, if you're not familiar, it's sponsored by the Latter-day Saints Church, so it is free. So I tend to go use that at home when I'm at home, and then I come to the library if I want to find something that Family Search won't give me. So I'll go to their collection there. So here's what I did here. I interviewed my grandfather when I was little, and he told me about coming from Germany, so I typed in his name here, and you can see it's the, it was on Family Search, and it was the Germans to America Index, and you see that was volume 1. It doesn't have the earlier ones apparently. I typed in his name, and it wasn't a real common name, so I could get by with just the name. And here's what I came up with. I came up with 5 hits, and I knew from personal experience that it was around 1888. So there's 2 here. This is actually my grandfather, and this was his father, same name. Okay? So, you know, do your normal search techniques. If you type in the years or type in occupation or ship name, other things, to narrow your search down if you're not as lucky as I was there. So I typed in, and this is my great-grandfather, and it gives you most of the stuff you want to know. All right, he immigrated, the date, they arrived in New York. Did they come to Ellis Island? Oh, according to Time magazine, they did. Time magazine had Ellis Island starting earlier than it did the last week. No, they came to Castle Garden. Yeah, but they came to New York. Male, age, where he's from, profession, ship name, estimated birth year, and they left from Stettin. Okay, that's great. So print that out, get that in your record. Now I got great-grandfather's citation. But do you think he came by himself? No, of course not. He came with his family, right? Almost everybody did. So this is the problem with the online. You get the citation, but you don't know who he came with and stuff like that. So you got one individual, you don't know about his family group, and in this case it gave his profession, but it didn't tell where he came from. Well, you know, the ship came from Stettin. Okay. So if I want more about him and who he came with, now I run over there, and I know when he got here, right? May 1888. 1888 was a popular year for German immigration. Oh, thank you. Oh, she's got the other ones too here. Okay, yeah, you go to the back here, and everybody, 1888 was a popular year for German immigration. So there are several volumes. Years where there weren't many, there might be just one volume per year. But anyway, so I can go to the back, and I can type in his name there. So I picked it out, and they're in chronological order, not hard to find. And then you go to the index at the back, and alphabetically, I'll show you in a minute here. And then you can go to the manifest for that ship, and you can see the list of all the German passengers that were on that ship. And then you can see who he came with and the other families on that ship. And at the beginning of each volume, there is a map that shows the countries, well, states, provinces, whatever things there were at that time in Germany. And then there's also tables that give you the profession and location. For instance, the village name. If Mary's lucky, she can get her great-grandma, Buelow, and find her on here, and it might tell her what village she came from, if she's lucky. Okay, and then, well, I'll show you that in a minute here. So here's what I did. Went to the index, and here's all the index listed alphabetically. Oh, we probably can't read it. I'll blow it up here. Yeah, you see? They're listed alphabetically by last name, everybody in that volume. And then within each last name, the first names are also alphabetical. Okay? So that's how you find which ship they came on. And the ship they came on is on page 65. And what does this tell me here? They're all on page 65. They all came over together, right? So I got my family right there. That's something I get from the hard copy version. Well, by remarkable coincidence, I typed in my Wasserstrass grandpa's name. And guess what? They came over the same year. My father always said when I was little, you know, wouldn't it be amazing that they came on the same ship? Almost, just a few months apart. So again, alphabetical last name, alphabetical first name, and oh yeah, they all came over together on the same ship. Well, what was that ship? Okay, here was the Wasserstrass family. I got my ship name. They came from Bremen to Baltimore, and when they arrived, does it tell me when they departed? No, that's too bad. It takes a little more detective work to figure that out. Anyway, so this particular one here, here's some individuals at the beginning of the manifest. I think the manifest is just the order that they got on the boat. And notice it gives the professions for them and their ages, gender. So we got that. And then later on page 287, I think that was, there we are. There's great-grandma. And she's first again. But the kids are not alphabetical order. They're in by age. So if great-grandpa had come with him, he would have been first, right? Head of family, wife, children in order. So you get the order there. Okay, so what do we know here? So you find the family grouping. And now notice something here. There are grandma, 3 kids, and then a 19-year-old girl. This is something that I never would have found online. Scanning through this here, there's about 300 people on that ship. And there's a few here at the beginning that are individuals. The whole rest of the ship is mothers, children, and maybe nannies. The whole ship full of women and children. Wow, that's interesting. At least I thought it was. But you can find things like that by going through. And then the other thing you can do with a hard copy is, I could go through this book here, and this was the ship Maine, and I could go and see, well, when was the next time the ship Maine arrived in New York? And when was the previous time? And I think this one was maybe every 4 weeks. So it was making a round trip basically every 4 weeks. So that gives me an idea of what the departure date would have been. So if I go to Germany and Bremerhaven and look at their thing there, I could probably know where to look to find the departure date, which I haven't done yet. Okay, one other thing you can find from Germans to America. Here's, this is my great-grandfather's father, mother, and younger brother. And they came on the ship New York in 1861. And notice here, oh, he was 50. What do you think that is? Minor, probably, right? Yeah, we probably can figure that out for sure here. But here's the thing, this entry, which is really kind of nice. Where did they come from? The province is GR, Germany. The village is WQ8. That's pretty rare. Looking through the books, not too many people had their village there. So I really, really lucked out. But what is WQ8? Well, I'll show you in a minute here. You can look it up. WQ8 is Wendhagen in Schaumburg-Lippe. So at the beginning of the volume, there's an introduction, tells you some of the stuff I've told you. And then there's the profession codes. Well, MNR, yep, sure enough, that was a minor, right? And most people have their profession in Germans to America. So you can find out a little bit about your ancestor there if you didn't know it before. And then there are village codes. And both through here is, oh, there's WQ8. Wendhagen. That's how I found out they were from Wendhagen. Although some distant cousin had already got a history, and I knew that ahead of time. But that's how I could have found it out. And at the beginning of each volume, there's a map, and it shows you the states at that particular time period. And this here's where Schaumburg-Lippe is. And there's some codes. Okay, so Germans to America. 4 million, that's a big fraction of the German immigrants. There's a good chance your ancestor is going to be in there. But it doesn't include all of them. I think I told you why. They might have gotten missed. So if you don't know when they arrived, start with the online. Got to search the entire database. But then the books can show you a lot of this other stuff. Okay, any questions about Germans to America? Yes, ma'am. Schleswig-Holstein, yeah. Oh. Okay, so there's the key here. He left from a German port, but when they listed here, if he didn't list Germany, he's not going to be there, right? It's what they listed on the ship's manifest. If they had, no, that's kind of irrelevant as far as this goes. It's whoever put it down on the ship when he got on board the ship. That's what counts. That was another question? Yeah. Yeah, I don't recall what the...
So the question is, if you were looking in the 1960s edition, if it would be worth checking again. Hard to say. It's quite likely. So I don't know this set particularly. They've certainly added on volumes over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, there were other passenger lists published before that, so that might have been what you were looking in. Oh, yeah, sure. There are passenger lists that goes back earlier, yeah. Yeah, I'm just kind of emphasizing the German stuff right now. So that's what this resource is here. So if you want to know how somebody got their German and they came to America, go online first, look for their name, and then if you find out the date, then go to the hard copy and find more. Well, where did they come from? This is the hard question, right? That's where Mary was stuck here, great-grandma Buelow. But if you do get a possible hometown, go to Myersort. It's a gazetteer, which lists of all the place names, 1912. And the important thing is, it became online in 2017. So, unlike Germans to America, that kind of obsolete makes the hard copy obsolete. You'll see why in a minute. And the main thing for genealogy purposes is it gives the jurisdictions. I'll talk about jurisdictions in a minute. Help you find a church location and find out where it is on the modern map. And this is the problem with the hard copy. It's in Fraktur, which is almost impossible to read, and it's all abbreviations and encoded. So that's why we prefer, for genealogy purposes, use the online stuff. Okay. So there's the online version. That's in your handout, where to find it. It's real easy to use. It gives you jurisdictions, the population, where the churches are, and it's got maps. And I'll quickly run through here and show you that stuff. There's other stuff that is in the hard copy. If you want to dig and find out more details about the village, post office, railroad, nearest amenities and stuff, it was the gazetteer was built for business purposes. So people that businessmen might want to know in 1912, that kind of stuff's there. It's not in the online version. But for genealogy, the online version is probably good enough. So I got a couple years ago, I got my great-grandma's funeral book, and it says her husband's birthplace was in this town, and the handwriting was legible. So, I got it. Well, I typed in, went to Gazetteer, typed in Wolonik, beep, no such place. Well, what do you do? Well, it said try wildcards, right? You can use an asterisk, you can use question mark, do wildcards. So I put wildcards in, and what did I find? Well, I put a wildcard in there, and I got a hit. Oh, Wotunik. I think probably it, right? An L and T got changed to an L in America, somewhere along the line. Yeah, that's probably it. So, yeah, sure enough. So then I picked on that, and here's the map. My great-grandma was from right here. So that's probably it there, right? Very close to her husband's. His close is pretty close to her wife's. So here's what you get in hard copy. You're all eager to run out there, over there and pull it off the shelf and try it, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's all in Proctor and abbreviation. So it shows you what you got there. And you can see the previous entries if the spelling is a little bit different too. Okay, so and then you got the map, which is really nice, not in the hard copy. And then it gives you jurisdictions. It's in Prussia, Pomerania, the district is Stralsund, the Kreis, the county is Grimmen, and so on. It gives you the hierarchy. And it also gives you the population. In 1912, it was 222. Shoot, I was going to look up and see what it is today. Looking at the map, it doesn't seem to be much bigger today. Anyway, so I can look at the details for the jurisdictions. Oh, jurisdictions. So in the U.S., we got federal data, we got state data, and we got county data, right? Depending on what you want to find, you got to know where to look. Well, Germany has the same kind of thing. The highest level, the province, the county, and then they got a thing in between, kind of like our congressional districts, which here don't have any records. Okay, so that's when we talk about jurisdictions. You want to know the jurisdictions of your place so you know where to look for the records. So here's the one for Wodenik. It tells you what each one is and then a little bit of explanation too. So it's kind of nice. So it gives you a hint of where you might need to go to find the records. And then here's some abbreviations. The big one you probably want to learn here is Kreis, the equivalent of county, where most of the local records would be kept. So you want to find the Kreis is pretty important. So here's an example of the map. Map is the 1912 map. And this is for my wife's family. Turned out they came from two villages which happened to be about 5 miles apart. So again, that tells me, yeah, I think my records are probably right. If they came from those two places, I think I found the right towns. So here's, I went back to Wodenik here. Tells you where the town is. And it's got satellite toggle. By golly, you toggle it, what do you get? A 2020 or 2020 Google map. You know exactly where that village is today. And then, of course, we got satellite images today, too. Wow. Well, look there. Yeah, that's what I said. It's probably not much bigger than 222 today. It looks like still out in the farming in the woods. And then the next nice thing is it can show you the churches. 5 churches nearby. Well, that narrows it down. You probably can figure out which one they went to then, huh? Well, here's, you can go to ecclesiastical. And what does it tell you? Oh, here's a town that's got a Catholic, Protestant, and Jewish. In that town that's 3 miles away. And then here's the other towns that have Protestant churches too. And you can show those on the map. There's the 3 nearest ones. And there's bigger, which is kind of irrelevant, but it's a pretty map to look at. So you can see where all the churches are. So if the first church you look at doesn't turn out the right one, you can go to the next one. So, what's the summary of my resort? It's the entire German Empire, but 1912, right? Yeah, might not be the same villages that were there earlier. And it gives a jurisdictional hierarchy. That's important for genealogy. And you got the maps, show the place and the churches. Okay, any questions about my resort? Good luck. Hope you find your village name so you can use it. Okay, and the same question. Another thing you can use to find the place name is Meinerts. Did you grab one of those for me? Oh, you did. Okay. It's a list of place names, And again, if you think you got the name of the town, you can go here to see if you find it, see if the spelling's right, or see if there really was a town with that name. And I'm not sure what years Roger used for that, but it's in 21 volumes, and so you need to know the general area, and then the Christ may be within that area. You need to find the right one to look at. And again, we have the volumes here. So you find the volume, go to table of contents, find the small area, and then you can go through and look for the town name. So here's the one from Venthagen, Schaumburg-Lippe. Go there, and it's got the list of all the towns in Schaumburg-Lippe. Yeah, I guess I came out right there. Venthagen is one of them. Okay, so it's there. Well, what happens? Venthagen happens to be in that area. There's a whole bunch of places that end with Hagen. What if I'm trying to decipher some church records and I can't read the handwriting? What if all I know is the Hagen part? What do I do? Well, he's also got a reverse listing. So he's got the names here. I blew this up here. Oh, here's all the towns that end with Hagen. So I can go through there, say, well, I can decipher that Hagen in the handwriting. Well, which one of these other Hagens best fits what I'm seeing here in my handwriting? So that's a nice tool, especially if you don't know the first few letters of your town name. Well, Myers or it's going to be kind of hard to find it, right? Yeah, do a lot of guessing. So that's a nice tool. And then where can I find the records? Okay, and so I'm going to tell you about Hanson's Guide here quick. What did I say earlier? Where are the church records most likely to be? Church records. Genealogical records. Vital statistics. They're probably going to be in the churches, right? That's by far the most common, especially if you got older ones. The German Empire didn't mandate civil records until 1876. So if you're looking before 1876, most likely in church records. If you're from Western Germany, where Napoleon took over in the early 1800s, then he did civil records there. So some places had civil records earlier. But before 1800, church records are what you're going to have to be looking at. So you need to know which parish the church is in. So is that what you brought a copy of that one? Yeah. She got Brandenburg 1 and Brandenburg 2. So you look in the book here, go to the index, and find where you're at here. Okay, what did I say here? So it's, well, there's the details about it here. It's in English. That's nice. And it's got both Protestant and Catholic. And it's got maps. I'll show you in quick here. So I went, again, Schaumburg-Lippe in this set of books and found Schaumburg-Lippe, and then through the index, all the different sub-areas. And here was Principality. Schaumburg-Lippe was a principality. And I understand there's still a prince that lives there. I don't know what his official job is, but I know there's a castle there where he lives in. And it's a small one. It only has 2 counties. 2 Christs. So I can look through there. And then I found Venthagen, Venthagen 3. What does the 3 tell me? Well, I go up here at the top. Oh, 3 is the parish Solbeck. So if I want to find the records for my ancestors from Venthagen, that tells me, oh, I go to Solbeck. That's where the church will be, where I can find the records. Hopefully I'll get there someday. And then there's maps. This was a Protestant area, apparently. There's a lot of Protestant parishes and a fewer number of Catholic parishes. So, Miners and Hansons, they're not online. So if you want to use them, you got to go over there and find them. And both of them are arranged by region. And then we'll give you the village name. If you've got a potential name that you're not sure about the spelling, or if the handwriting is unclear, that'll help you. You can scan through the list. You see, they weren't very long list. You could scan through it and find a good match. And the important thing is it gives you the parish and tells you where to find the records. So any questions about these two items? Okay. Other stuff. Now the other stuff is all in here, but I should point out that Roger Meinert, he's spoke at our annual genealogy workshop 3 times over the years. From Salt Lake City, one of the big German experts out in Salt Lake City, Brigham Young rather. And we have 6 or 7 books here in the collection by him or his friends, together with his friends. So check out Roger Meinert about doing research in Germany. If you're going to go to Germany and do research, he's got a couple books there that are really good. I own them personally. Hopefully I'll get to use them someday. And then there's, like we talked about earlier, there's a lot of passenger list and things and genealogy guides. And then I have some handouts I've given out at German interest group meetings. Germans to America guide, that's pretty much what you got in your handout tonight. Franco-Prussian War casualties. Any of you guys had ancestors that got killed in the Franco-Prussian War? Oh, probably not. If they got killed, you wouldn't be here, would you? Luckily my great-grandfather only went missing. So he got in there, but he didn't get killed. He was actually one of the handful of survivors from his battalion. The battalion basically got wiped out. The fracture alphabet, if you want to decipher minor Zort. And here's one. This is a really good book if you haven't read it, Our Daily Bread. It's about life in a German village. Find out what German village life was like. And then I did a full talk on maps and gazetteers. So if you want those handouts, you can email me and I'll be happy to send you the electronic copies. Okay. Any final questions? All right. Yes. Yeah. I don't know. That is the only place I've ever seen the E on the end. I've got plenty of records from Berlin, from my great-grandfather, and his passenger list didn't have an E on the end. That's just the way things happen. They didn't know I spell things the same way.
So spelling was not always standardized. There was a lot of creative spelling over the years, and some of that creativity came when people came from the home village to the port, and someone had to write those names down, and maybe the person who it was, your ancestor, didn't read or write. Also a lot of changes when they hit the American immigration authorities. They didn't know what to do with the little U with the dots on top. So some of them got changed into UH. My family, it was UE. Others, it was just U. And it really depends. So that's some of the challenges where people do get stuck, and where it's helpful to find not just sources where you can type in words, but also where you can look at lists and maybe see a little variant spelling there. Okay, yes? Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. Right. But as soon as I get back into looking in German records, then I have to drop my E and put the umlaut back in. And then I have to figure out where they alphabetize it in a print list. So, okay. I know we ran out of handouts. My apologies for that. I'm just really thrilled that you are all able to make it tonight. If you want handouts and didn't get them, Phil, are you able to take names of people and contact information? Or you can take my business card and contact me that way. For people who are interested in a short tour, about 10 minutes of some of the highlights of where we move things in the library that you will use for genealogists, or be of use to genealogists, particularly those things in the that were moved into our brand new Wisconsin room. Meet me at the far doors over there.
Hi, my name is Mary Buelow, and I'm one of the public services librarians here at the Hedberg Public Library, and I wanted to welcome everyone to our new genealogy spaces here after our remodel and transformation. I'm standing right outside the Wisconsin room, which is right next to the Janesville room. The Janesville room has been part of this library since 1996. It has not changed, we've just expanded it. One of the things that I really like about the location is that not only do we have all our materials for Wisconsin history, Janesville history, and genealogy, all the reference ones all together, they are this way, but if I turn around that way, all the circulating materials are just across the aisle. And that is something that's really new and exciting for us. Let's come on into the Wisconsin room though, and I will show you what we have here. We have all the reference materials that have been in our reference collection for a long time on genealogy. We had a lot, and now we get to highlight them. They are more accessible and findable. We just went through a program where John Wasserstrass of the German Interest Group featured some special materials that were donated by the interest group over the years, and that is the Germans to America set. So we have 4 shelves of that right here, of passenger lists of German immigrants and when they came to America and who they came with. We also have Hanson's here, and Hanson's is the one where I can look up a location in Germany and find out which church parish it serves that location, and that would help me find the records because many of the records are located in the church parishes. Another one that John mentioned was Roger Meinart's guides, and that's a place name index. This is the one where you can, if you know the ending of a word, but the first part of that place name is a little garbled, you can actually look up German place names by the ends of words, which is really cool. We have many other things here for genealogy. Some other things that are here available in the Wisconsin room, we do have computers for people to use so they can look at Ancestry.com and AncestryLibrary, the library subscription to Ancestry, as well as Heritage Quest and some of the other genealogy databases. So in addition to the reference materials and the computers, we also have a fair amount of microfilm. We do have the Janesville Gazette from 1845 up to the present day. There's usually a couple months lag before we get the Gazette on film, and we keep the papers until that time, but right now we are good up to October 2019. We have the New York Times on microfilm as well from the 1840s until the end of the 20th century. Our film readers, we have 2. They are digital. It does have a lot of features where we can load the film on the machine, we can view it, we can enlarge, reduce, improve the image, we can save it to a flash drive, we can print, we can email, we can save it to Google Drive. It has a lot of really great features. So the Janesville room is over here. This has not changed. It is still the wonderful space that was designed by Geraldine Hedberg back in the mid-1990s for our Janesville history, and it has everything from high school yearbooks to family histories to city directories and many other resources for local genealogy. Here in the Janesville room, we have quite a few resources that talk about Janesville history as well as the people who have lived in Janesville. We do have a run of the high school yearbooks for both Craig and Parker and their predecessor, the Janesville High School. We have middle school yearbooks. We also have collections of photos, oral histories, as well as the city directories. City directories are lists of where people lived in different snapshots of time in Janesville. And they're absolutely terrific for finding out both family history information and the history of homes, which is another area that we get a lot of questions. One thing that I really find is the most useful piece is something that we were not able to fit in this room, but now it does have a space back in the Wisconsin room. And that is the 1919 map of Janesville. The reason it's so important is that many Janesville streets had their names changed over the years. Some were gradual, and then in 1960 there was a massive renaming of many Janesville streets. So for people who are looking for genealogy and historic information in Janesville, they run across the names of these old streets and have no idea where they are. And we can just take a quick look on the 1919 map and go, oh, 3rd Street. You know, 3rd Street, I'm looking where it is on the map, and that is the street that goes straight up the hill from the library's main entrance. We now call it Holmes. Thank you for joining us on our tour of the Janesville room and also our new Wisconsin room. We do hope to see you here at the Hedberg Public Library, and we'd be happy to help you with your local history and your genealogy research.